First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening and learning, and to the Bayah Shadabadat, the house of David. Amaya Shatad, with men of valor, Las Vegas camp, coming to you through the will, Salaki, the will and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, as well as you speckled birds whose father's line goes back, you are the true children of Israel, all right, that the Bible speaks of. Salvation belongeth unto you, and you alone. First and foremost, to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel. Then the multitude of the men, women, and children who believe upon the testimony. 2/3 of the nation of Israel will perish, will be canceled, will be deleted for their lack of faith, for their disobedience, and for not believing upon the true names of Yahweh, which means He is He, to be He exists. His name is not Yahushua. His name is not Jehovah. His name is Yahweh, all right? And that is the name of the Most High, all right? The Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Bahashem, in the name, Yahweh Shai. His name is not Yeshaya. His name is not Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai, meaning He saves, He delivers, He is salvation for the nation of Israel, and first and foremost for the elect, even though through His blood He will save all of the nation of Israel, all right? Bahashem, in the name, Ruach Kodash, Holy Spirit or Spirit Holy, which you must have the Holy Spirit to receive this doctrine, this truth, and the true names and the testimony of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. 100% truth. Truth is coming out of GMS, starting with our head apostle, Apostle Tahar, then our Apostle Gabar, Apostle Rakah, Apostle Ramla, the elders, and all the way down to the newest brother, all right, believing and teaching the 100% truth, all right? Once again, I am Ayah Shatad with Men of Valor, Las Vegas camp, all right? I have a lesson for you today. This is going to be love your neighbor if you can, all right? But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these scripts. It's going to be here in the book of Deuteronomy, and it's going to be Deuteronomy chapter 11 and verse 26, and it reads, "Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahweh, your power, which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh, your power, but turn aside out of the way which I commanded you this day, to go after other gods, which ye have not known." All right, so Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai gave us a warning. All right, this was a warning. This was not in fine print, as Moses read the people to the read the book to the people. All right, before essentially the deal was sealed. All right, because as you go into the book of Exodus, as a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and get it. Book of Exodus chapter 24, and I'm gonna go ahead and start here at verse 6, and it reads, "And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled it on the altar, and he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that Yahweh hath said we will do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahweh hath made with you concerning all these words." All right, so here it is. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai has put a blessing and a curse. All right, the details of the blessing and the curse for the disobedience was read unto the nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, as well as you speckled birds whose father's line goes back. All right, you are the children of the book. These scriptures, all right, these basic instructions before leaving earth belong unto you, Israel, Yasharallah, all right, which means He, Prince of the Power, okay? And let's get a curse, all right? about thy neighbor. Okay, and we're gonna get into that. Matter of fact, let's go here, Salakia. Let's go here in the book of Deuteronomy, or Salakia. Let's go to Genesis. Salakia. A little bit all over the place. Don't have this mapped out exactly. It's going to be Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 16, and it reads, "Thus shall not," as you, Salakia, as most people know these as the 10 Commandments. All right, it even says it in the header, the 10 Commandments of Israel. All right, but as you go down to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 16, and it reads, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's that neighbor's wife, nor his manservants, nor his maidservants, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's." All right, so here it is. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai has put it in the law. We are not to covet, not to lust over, not to seek after the things of our fellow brothers. All right, and for you women out there, fellow sisters. All right, you're not supposed to envy and want anything that a brother or sister has. You can admire and say, yes, that's nice. I would like to have that one day and strive for it. All right, but in essence, and speaking in a spiritual aspect, all right, hey, this is exactly what's wrong with the southern and the northern kingdom. All right, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom were at odds, and Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai did that for a purpose and a reason. All right, this is why, hey, times past, so-called black and brown relations, all right, were not very good. We have an evil eye towards our brother, towards our neighbor, all right, towards one another. And to understand that, let's go here to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right, 28 and 54, and it reads, "So that the man that is tender amongst you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother." All right, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. All right, so this is exactly why you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, as well as you speckled birds, all right, whose father's line goes back, or in a particular case that you're in, no father in the home, having hatred between you and another man of your nation, all right, having the hatred between you and your own biological brother, all right. Hey, this is a curse that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai has put on us for our disobedience. And we're going to go farther to prove this in the blue letter about these things. All right, let's go ahead and read this right quick before we get into the interlinear. Let's read it in the NLT, and it reads, "The most tender man amongst you will have no compassion for his own brother, his beloved wife, or his several children." All right, and this is exactly what Israel shows theirself as right now. No compassion, no care. All right, northern or southern kingdom, all right, have no compassion for one another. Okay, let's go get in the interlinear. All right, and let's look up these words. And let's go to towards his brother.
Strong's H251. Ach.
And it says, brother of same parent, half brother, same father, relative, kinship, same tribe, each other. All right, relationship, reciprocal relationship. All right, so here it is. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is giving you clear indication, all right, who your brother is. All right, your brother and your neighbor. All right, let's get that word neighbor. All right, here it is. It's going to be the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 16. And it reads, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." All right, NLT reads, you must not testify falsely against your neighbor. All right, you must not testify falsely against your neighbor. And let's get that word, against thy neighbor.
Strong's H 7453. Rea.
Rea. Friend, companion, fellow, another person. Friend, intimate, fellow citizen. All right, fellow citizen, another person. Okay, let's go see what the etymology of the root word is.
Strong's H 7462. Ra'ah.
Okay, of people as flock. All right, it says to shepherd, to rule, teach, of people as flock. All right, and what did Yahweh Hashem Yahushai said? I come but not for the lost sheep of Israel. All right, Salakia, drawing a blank. All right, but my flock is of men. All right, and Salakia, my mind is going right now with that. All right, but nevertheless, here it is. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is giving you clear indication of what it is. And right here it says in version 2, Israel as flock. All right, so Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, when Yahweh Hashem Yahushai said, "My flock is of men." All right, that those men were the men of Israel. All right, the sons of Israel. Okay, so we as a nation, all right, have an evil eye towards one another or towards our brothers if we don't wake up, from the debauchery that Esau Edom has done to our nation. All right, the part of the curses was that John 8 and 44, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do." All right, hating and having that perpetual hate towards one another, towards a brother, all right, a sister towards a sister, so on and so forth. All right, not caring for that man or woman of your nation. Okay, and to go and further prove that, let's go here in the book of Exodus. And Salakia, it's Genesis. This will be Genesis chapter 48 and verse 4 to further prove the point. Verse 4, and it reads, "And said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and I will give thee land to thy seed after thee for everlasting possession. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which are born into thee, which is born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto Egypt, are mine, and Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine." All right, so here it is. These sons, all right, of Joseph, okay, were ultimately a part of the nation of Israel. I'm gonna jump over to 49. All right, this is the book of Genesis chapter 49, and I'm gonna read verse 1. And as you read this, look at the tribes that it calls out, and I'm gonna go through those tribes. This is the book of Genesis chapter 49 and verse 1, and it reads, "And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father." Okay, and as you read down, it calls out the tribes. It says Reuben, Simeon, and Levi, Judah, Zebulun, Issachar, Dan, Gad, Naphtali, Joseph, Salakia, Joseph, and Benjamin. All right. And these are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, as well as you speckled birds whose father's line goes back. Your lineage, goes back to one of these tribes. Okay. This would make you a child of the Most High. All right. And this makes you have to suffer those curses and having an evil eye. What inspired this lesson is the people talking about fuck around and find out. All right. Hey, from the DJ Trump supporters. Okay. The Cubans, the Northern Kingdom, really. All right. Over there, understanding now that these curses are now clinging unto you. All right. These you are now starting to see and fit the description. Okay. This is a perpetual hatred that this man has for the children of Israel. Chiefly, all right, for the chiefly for the southern kingdom and the head tribe of Judah, the so-called Negro. All right. Let's go ahead and get this. All right. This is going to be here, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and starting here at verse 54, and it reads, so that the man that is tender amongst you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother and towards his wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. All right. You see broken homes. You see once again a evil eye towards a northern and southern and northern. All right. Everybody has a disdain for each other, has a bad flavor, a taste in their mouth. All right. And it's been this way for a while. But now that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, is relevant and pushed to the forefront, we are now starting to see more unity in the communities of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, in the tribes and the nations. All right. Of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, making ultimately that those two sticks one. Okay. Continuing on, verse 55, and it reads, so that he will not give any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he hath another left him in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in all the gates. All right. So here it is. All these curses, these things, and these markers of these curses are to what? Are ultimately so you can understand, that you are, the children of Israel. Let's go ahead and get that here. This is going to be in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29 and verse 25. And it reads, then man shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh, the power of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods and worshiped them, gods whom they know not, and whom he had not given them. All right. So this is the part of the reason for our destruction, our downfall. All right. Because we followed after other gods. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, put us at odds with our brother. All right. The northern against the southern against the northern. These curses that cling unto you, Israel, the hatred that we've had for one another, all right, is a curse that was given by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. But now Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is turning it back around, all right, because we are waking up to who we are and whose we are. Okay, and let's go ahead and get that. Continuing on to verse 27, and it reads, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the land to bring upon it all the curses that are written in the book. All right, giving you the clear indication that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has put these curses on us. And he told us that these curses would be on us to what? To destroy us. Okay? To destroy us to the point where we are now. Okay? But he would also, give us mercy and grace. Okay? When we disobeyed, yet Israel, would still be saved because of the love and kindness that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has for his nation. It's going to be here in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse, I'm going to go ahead. Let's just start at verse 1, and it reads, "And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind amongst all the nations, whither Yahweh thy power hath driven thee, and shall return unto Yahweh thy power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thy and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That then Yahweh thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy power hath scattered thee." So it goes to show you that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has scattered the nation of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, especially, especially the speckled bird. All right, those of you who live in other countries, look like other nations. All right, but your father's line goes back to a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, and Seminole Indian. This is the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, for the disobedience that we had shown unto him. All right, as well as Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is a man of war, and it's his war strategy. All right, if you can receive it. All right, let's go ahead and get this, and then we'll go ahead and close out. All right. Salakia. It's going to be here in the book of Isaiah. And it's going to be Isaiah. Salakia. Phone is slow. Gone. This is the book of Isaiah. And this is going to be Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. And it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand against again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathro and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea." All right, so here it is. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said he is going to gather those that he has left, all right, across the four corners of the earth. All right, continuing on, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall establish the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." All right, so Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is gathering his nation together yet again. And how is it happening? It's happening by the prophets. All right, starting with our head apostle, Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Rakah, Apostle Ramla, the elders and the bishops, all the way down to the newest brother teaching 100% truth, the doctrine of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the doctrine coming out of GMS. All right, the truth and the testimony, the good news, the gospel that is given. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is calling his nation, first and foremost, the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, those who are still living and breathing today, believing and doing the work and the testimony of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. the multitude of the men, women, and children who believe upon the testimony. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is calling, all right? He is gathering his nation together. Verse 13, and it reads, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart. All right, so the jealousy is starting to depart. Here it is. Now the northern kingdom with the head tribe Ephraim, all right, is now starting to understand that, well, my goodness, this is, everything's not like we were taught, all right? Because generations past, you were taught to hate the so-called Negro, all right? Even though that the so-called Negro wasn't necessarily indoctrinated and taught to hate the so-called Mexican and Cuban, so on and so forth. Not to say that it was always that, all right? But it was more of the other tribes hating on the southern kingdom. And matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that stick right there, all right? All right, let me read that from the beginning again. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adverse Salakia, and the adversary of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. All right, and as you see, Judah is the so-called Negro. Benjamin is the West Indian. Levi is the so-called Haitian. Simeon, the so-called Dominican. Zebulon, Guatemalan to Panamanians. Ephraim, Puerto Ricans. Manasseh, Cuban. Gad, North American Indians. Reuben is Seminole Indians. Naphtali, the Argentinians to Chile. Asher, Colombians to Uruguay. And Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. All right, and as you see, in the middle of the depiction, by the lion's eyes, it says Southern Kingdom, and it has the first three, and then Northern Kingdom. All right, with Ephraim being the head tribe of the Northern Kingdom. All right, as Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has commanded and demanded. All right, but Judah is overall. All right, continuing and proving yet that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has a nation and has Salakia, his order, all right, has his order. Now the nations are coming back to understanding whose they are and who they are through the will and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, these are blessings that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has bestowed upon us to make us a part of the lineage of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so don't take it lightly. Lord willing, this has been an edifying, uplifting lesson. I want to give all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. To the Salakia. Matter of fact, Salakia, I didn't read verse 14. I apologize. This is going to be the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 14, and it reads, but they shall fly upon the shoulder of the Philistines towards the west, and they shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hands upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. All right, so Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is bringing this thing to pass where the time is coming that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is going to return and make those two sticks one. All right, but make his nation to be back on top again, under the will and under the authority of Yahweh Shai, King David in the 12th, under Yahweh. All right, Lord willing, this was an edifying, uplifting lesson. Once again, Salakia was a little bit impromptu, but giving all honor and glory and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, to all the Akim out there teaching and preaching this truth with 144% sincerity, to the men, women, and children listening, learning, to the Bayis Shetabatat, the house of David. To the next time, Amaya Shetat saying Shalom, Kwame Asherala, Wa Abba Baba. Shalom.